Check, 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 check. Oh, we might be in business. Check, 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 check. Oh, we might be in business. Look at that, guys. Just gotta problem solve some stuff. Get it to work. Pretty cool. Alright, we got plugged in over there. Let's grab a glove. What can we talk about today? Well, we played 18 holes this morning. That went really well. Oh, we're even par through 17. Made a silly bogey on the last to shoot one over. 73 on a pretty tough golf course. And I was thinking about you guys, thinking about the stream, especially the people who are like, man, all that practice, it's never going to translate. It's just, you know, the mat, it's not the same as the golf course. Let me tell you what, it translated. It's definitely translating. I mean, my ball striking is as good as it's been in a while. Keegan said the mic works. Amazing. Jeff is here. What's up, Jeff? Elijah and Beckham are here. Hey, guys. Oh. So, yeah, played 18 holes. Went really well. The driver was, 50-50. But the irons, all the work we've been doing in here on the irons, really paying off. Got our handicap going back down the right direction after posting that round today. Trying to get back down into that plus territory. Just wanted to come on and answer some questions, see what you guys have been up to. Do a little more work on these short irons. The wedges, especially today, guys, were really, really good. Hit a bunch of good wedges. Keegan says, can't believe I was here when you had exactly 535 subscribers. I can't believe it either, Keegan. It continually blows my mind, just the amount of support, you know, the new subscribers. We're coming up on like 3,600. Which is super crazy to me. I mean, we've still only been maybe 7 months since we started posting on YouTube at all. I got some crazy mutts in the yard right now. They are really wrestling, chasing each other around. You guys having fun? You having fun? Come here. Come be a superstar. Come see your dad. Yeah. What are you doing? Huh? You getting into all kinds of craziness? Huh? Look at you. Look at your face. What's your sister doing? Go help her. Alright, we got enough holes in the yard, baby girl. Yeah. Come on. No, we don't need these holes. Nobody asked for these holes in the yard. The joys of having some big dogs live in your house. Hey! So yeah, you're exactly right, Keegan. It's crazy. It's really crazy. I think it's just, you know, like I make videos about. It's about consistency and showing up day after day, putting in the work. And, you know, it's going to come back to you. When should a beginner golfer get their first fitting? I think when you're shooting in the 80s is a good time to get fit for clubs. At least have some sense of, you know, when your equipment is on track. Knob said, God bless you. Thanks very much, Knob. Braden's here. Hey, Braden. Bentherium said, cute doggy, bro. Thanks very much. The name is not Chip. Loki and Lily. Please be careful not to hit the dog. He's innocent. Yeah, we would never do that. I'm always very cautious. They are my children, my pride and joy. I guess you can say she makes a hole in one. That's right. We're doing good. That's awesome. Found my swing again today. Felt so good after a few days of struggling. That's great, Garrett. Yeah, some days you just got to work through it, swing through it. You know, especially if you play a lot of golf, your swing's not going to feel the same day to day. You know, you might hit a whole bunch of draws and then show up the next day and the swing wants to hit fades. But definitely all the work on the tempo, guys, has paid off. I just felt so in control of my swing. These guys are nuts. Look at them. They're like, I don't even know where to run. I know. Show the people how you're a superstar. All right, so now I'm just going to grab an 8-iron. Easy to feel loose when you've already, you know, hit balls in the range before the round and played 18 holes. You know, so working on tempo, guys, really translating to the golf course nicely. We also, I mean, we left a number of shots out there on the greens just because we hit great putts that burn the edge, right? Just right over the edge. You guys will see some of those on camera, you know, or on video coming out in the next few days, hopefully. But yeah, filmed 18 holes, 73 today. Really happy with that. Garrett says, shot 1 under first day of club championship, was 3 back. Birdied the first 3 holes second day and had 2 doubles in the back 9 coming in. First time ever playing in it, though. They are happy dogs. Yeah, they are. They are very happy. Keegan's in from Canada. Very cool. I'm new to golf. I'm hitting wedges and irons pretty well. Hoping to move to woods and driver soon, playing 9-hole courses often. What would you say is a good time to jump on an 18-hole course? Well, I think it's really up to you. Nothing says you can't, you know, start playing 18 holes right away. But I think it is smart of you to start building your skills, you know, get more comfortable hitting shots, hitting the ball, you know, getting it up in the air, getting some consistency in your game, and then trying to take it to the golf course. So I do think that's smart. I would say, you know, if you can shoot around 50 for 9 holes, you could probably be ready to get out on an 18-hole course and see how your game stacks up. Some nice strikes here, guys, to start our hitting session this evening. These 8-irons are pummeled. Really, really solid strikes so far to start. Perfect day out to play golf. It was just absolutely stunning. Wonderful time playing with some friends. What putting mat do you use? I use, so not out here, guys, but in the inside, I have a well stroke putting mat with a Pels tutor. And I've used that really successfully working on start line indoors. That's a well stroke mat with the Pels tutor. Pick the club up a little bit there. I could tell in the strike it's just not as crisp. Trying to really keep it nice and wide. Hit a bunch of good long irons, some good hybrids today. A couple 3-putts. That was really where I lost a couple strokes. So really on the greens, could use some sharpening, you know, those long lag putts. But all the work we've been putting in, all the hours hitting balls, really starting to pay off. On a couple occasions, I even hit the ball too well. You know, where I took an extra club and said, I'm not really sure how this one's going to come out. And just absolutely flushed it over the back of the green a couple times. But, you know, that's going to happen. That's why we have short game and practice that too. because very rarely are you going to have 18 birdie putts, you know, hit all 18 greens in regulation in a round. So important to have, you know, have that security blanket in a good short game. Got our non-alcoholic beer tonight, guys. This is an Athletic. I don't drink alcohol, but I do enjoy, you know, hanging out on a beautiful evening, having a beer, alcohol-free. Keenan wants to know what irons I play. These are the Tacoma 301 CB irons. Although I would tell you that these are, I'm going to be going back to the TaylorMade blades that I've been playing for a long time before this trip I've got coming up. But these are the Tacomos. They're really solid. Keegan says, I want to make a song for your YouTube channel. You could definitely do that. Hey, Green Bean's here. Terry's here. Terry wants to know, I've been shanking my driver. Any recommendations? So if you're actually shanking it, like hitting it out of the heel, right, then I would get on the range and try to hit 10 in a row out of the toe. You know, try to move that striker pattern around the face, you know, trying to move it away from here out to, you know, closer to the center. Keegan said jug. Trucker Belly's here. Jason Miller's here. What's up, guys? Yeah, definitely, you know, if you make a song for the channel, that'd be pretty cool. Send it to me on Instagram. Also, guys, if you haven't already, go follow me on Instagram. If you have an Instagram, we've been posting some content over there as well. Trying to get to 1,000 followers on IG. So go help me out. Jump over there, follow me on Instagram at John Young Golf, same as here. Really solid, guys. I'm just thrilled with how all this work on the swing is paying off. Just finding the center of the face so consistently. Been working on this caddy drag move, right? Getting the shoulders moving, the club back. And it's just such an easy position to, you know, make such nice, solid contact. What are you doing, bud? You just moving the dirt around with your nose? What are you looking for? Buddy, we don't need to do that.
They were doing this thing again, where she was on, Ricky was on his back, and she was like, sitting.
So silly. Never a bad idea, guys, to slow it down, just work on some little half swings. Sir, you can't stand there. Just work on that delivery of the club into the ball. Nice. Also pretty exciting, guys. We've got a trip out to Sand Valley coming up, so we're going to be shooting a whole bunch of content out there in the Wisconsin area. So I'm excited for you guys to be able to see those courses and check that out once that trip has happened. Coming up in about a month. I'm really happy with where the game is at for how little golf I've played. Right, just a lot of practicing out here. Yeah, just like that, guys. You hear that sound, that crisp, compressed sound? That's what we're really looking for. Keegan said the viewers are shooting up, 82 all the way to 105. Awesome. I appreciate you, Keegan, keeping an eye on things and showing all kinds of support on the channel. It's awesome. Yeah, we'd love to. I think our peak concurrence on yesterday's stream was like 350. So I think, like I said, guys, just, you know, the consistent effort, consistently being here, you know, whether it's doing drills or speed training, just hitting balls, you know, answering questions, talking about the round I played this morning, all kinds of stuff. And you guys keep showing up, so I'm going to keep showing up for you. It's kind of the deal we make, I think. So hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, if you're new. I am excited to have some blades in the bag again. That'll be fun. These are almost too forgiving. I sometimes just get lazy and I forget that I have to strike the center of the face, because I think subconsciously I know that there's a little bit of help in there. It'll be almost a full TaylorMade bag, guys. It'll be driver all the way through the irons. The only thing that won't be is our Vokey wedges and our lab putter. So somebody get on the horn to TaylorMade and say, you guys got to start sponsoring this John Young golf guy. Oh, somebody's ripping a dot in the neighborhood. I can tell I'm being consistent on my net when all the balls end up in the same place. That works. Ben Therium wants to know, how long have you played golf for? I've been playing golf for 15 years. Pretty seriously, competitively. Garrett just got Strixon ZXI 7s. Very cool. TaylorMade woods as well. Have you ever broke 100? I have broke 100. I have. It's an important milestone in your golf journey. Oh, I've also broken 70. So I suppose that means I've also broken 90 and 80 and 70. My career low, guys, is 64, 6 under par. It was a few years ago now. This year, I think 68 is my low. Nice. Really, really pleased, guys, with the quality of the strike. All the work, all the drills we put in. It's just starting to feel like second nature, you know, just right in the center of the face. Everything's nice and connected in the swing. Boom. It does translate, right? You work on your technique at this slow speed. And it will, you know, when you start adding speed, you start, you know, making that full swing. The technique work that you've built, it will carry through, right? You're going to find just how much easier it is to find the center of that face, hit the ball consistently. Let me catch up here. State, question mark. What state am I in? I'm in Rhode Island. Also, you've broken your mat. I know, it's gotten lots of use, guys. But we're going to keep using it till, you know, really becomes unusable, and then we'll think about figuring out how to replace it. I don't know, are there mats or, you know, mat companies? Do people sell mats? Is that a thing? Like, do I need to just invest in a better mat? This was just one from Dick's Sporting Goods, and I built this box. Got some padding underneath in the box, so it's a nice surface to hit off of. We just posted a video also about the hitting setup if you're interested in that. Stay hydrated here. 68 is also my low this year, 4 under. That's awesome. 143. Oh, 192. Yeah, that's awesome. What is your peak drive in yards? So the longest carry that I've seen this year, like on TrackMan, is around 300 yards in the air. That's a, you know, like low 170s ball speed. But on the golf course, I probably am more in the mid 160s if I had to guess. But yeah, on TrackMan this year, I got to 172. And I would love this offseason to try and get that closer to 180. See if we can really pump the speed up. I've also got another tournament round I'm going to be getting ready for, and it coming up in a few weeks. Tournament golf is one of my favorite parts about, just playing golf, being a competitive player. Just a really different kind of feeling, right? Knowing that no one's coming to help you. You got to get the ball in the hole 18 times. And, putting yourself under the gun, under pressure. Really good way to see where your game, how it stacks up. Hit a few more 8-irons here, guys, and then maybe I'll grab something longer. 6-iron or something. Just continue trying to dial in our ball striking. Just really trying to deliver the center of that club onto the ball as often, as consistently as possible. So I like doing drills like that where you really slow it down. You can even do a freezer at the top. Nice. Again, nice and balanced, good tempo. Good strike on the ball. Those are all the things we're keying in on. Right? This isn't, there are some limitations, obviously, with having a net set up here. I can't see the trajectory of the ball. There are times where that's a benefit as well. But I certainly can work on, how consistently can I deliver this club onto that ball, in a consistent, balanced fashion. Lots of really good work you can do. Boom. Preset that impact condition. One of my favorite drills. Luca's here. What brand is your 9-iron? All my irons are these Takomos 301 CB irons. This winter I'm doing speed training, going to try and pick up 10 yards. Me too, Garrett. Do you play any courses in Connecticut too, or just Rhode Island? Good question. I've not played a lot of golf in Connecticut, but we're pretty new to the area, so I'm going to continue exploring different tracks and trying to figure out, where I like playing. Where there's good places for filming, good places for practicing, all that kind of stuff. Do you use the Varden grip? I think so. That's what I call the overlap grip. Right, where this pinky just sits on top. That's how I hold it. Gunner said hi. Hey, Gunner. Keegan said skibbity toilet. I don't know what that means, but if it makes you happy. Gunner says, what driver do you recommend? I have used TaylorMade drivers for a really long time, going back to like the SLDR days. Man, that driver was something. The SLDR 430 head hit some absolute missiles. Because if you hit the sweet spot, it wouldn't spin at all. It would come out with like 1500 spin. So if the face was square, the ball would just go a mile. But if you missed the center of the face, like especially out on the toe, it was going all over the place. And definitely the forgiveness has come a long way since then. But I'm not convinced also that the carbon faces haven't taken a step back. I've got this QI10 Max in the bag at the moment with the carbon face, and the performance is good. I mean, I've tested on TrackMan. I tried it against the Core head. Other than, aesthetically, it's not one that I really like. I mean, the head is massive, but the performance against the Core head was really solid. So I stuck with this one for this year. I've also got it turned down to 7 degrees, right? So it's a 9-degree head turned down to 7. But if you're new to golf and you're looking at drivers, I would look at a few years older. Like look at maybe a Sim 2 Max kind of head. you know, anything from Callaway or Cobra or Titleist is going to be really solid, and you can probably get a good deal for something that's been out for a few years. Might have been a little bit over the top, that swing there. Really hard to go wrong with any of those major OEM drivers that have come out in the last 5 years. All right, let's grab a 6-iron, guys. See if we can't continue this solid ball striking with some longer irons. 245 in the stream right now. Shout out to you guys. Hit that like button for me if you haven't already. I use the Sim 2 Max myself. Undecided on carbon face. I agree. Oh, he's got the Nike Vapor Flies. Amazing. Hit some shots with your driver. I'll probably work up to driver maybe. Got to be a little careful because I have put a little hole in this already, hitting it with the driver. But no issues with the irons. And that's also not, you know, not for nothing. Whoops. That was supposed to be a practice swing. Not for nothing. The irons are really where I need to spend the most time. You know, approach play is where, what the data says anyway, is where players separate themselves. That was hit nicely. Like I said, guys, I played earlier today, hit some really good irons all the way through the bag. You know, some good 5-irons, 7, 8, 9 irons. So I'm really happy with the work that we've put in out here. Working on the tempo, the ball striking. It's hitting the ball really straight today too. You know, there's a couple shots that I was trying to turn over and did, but for the most part. 302 watchers. Amazing, guys. Shout out to you guys. What's your favorite iron set? Great question, Oliver. There's some old Callaway blades that I really, really like. Or like the original Callaway X Forged iron set is really good. You know, can't really go wrong with a set of like Mira Baby blades or an old set of the Max 5 blades, the black ones. Those are super cool. I've been playing these Tacomos for most of the year. I wanted to get something that's a bit more forgiving, but I think honestly it had the opposite effect. It kind of forced me or caused me to lose my concentration some on the golf course. So I'm going to be going back to a set of traditional blades. And I think we're going to do a live stream when we rebuild the clubs. So we're going to pop these heads off, keep the shafts and the grips intact. And pop these heads off, put the old TaylorMade heads back on, and everyone double-click the stream. Amazing. Thanks very much, Michael. What's the main reason someone slices with irons? Good question, Daniel. So the face is open, right? If you're slicing the ball, it tells us that this face is, you know, open and kind of cutting across the ball this way, right? What I would have you do, grab a head cover, you know, maybe call it your driver head cover. Drop it down behind the ball and to the right, like this, when you're practicing, right? And if you make that kind of over-the-top swing with the face open, your path to the ball will be blocked. So if you slice, try this drill. Drop that head cover down, right? It's going to block your path, the slice path. And it will force you to get the club working more, you know, from the inside, more neutral, down your target line, right? And if you can learn how to hit shots without hitting that head cover, right, you should see that slice really start to straighten out, right? And one tip I would give you, the slice or that over-the-top move, a lot of times the key culprit or the reason it's happening is this club head gets inside on the takeaway, and then there's nowhere else to go except kind of this over-the-top way, right? So if you keep this club head nice and wide, far away from you in the backswing, right? That gives you all this room to let that club just fall and shallow from the inside, start hitting the ball a lot straighter, you know, maybe hit some draws. See, I hit it on the takeaway there. It tells me the takeaway was a little bit outside. Reset. Boom. So avoid the head cover. That should straighten out your slice. Also, guys, if you have a question and I missed it, drop it in the chat again for me. You guys are going crazy on the chat, so I'm doing my best to keep up, but over 300 watchers. Drop some likes. Hit that subscribe button if you're new. We're going to keep hitting some balls here, answering some questions. Cook and Eat said hi. Daniel said thanks. What's your putter at the moment, and what's your handicap? Handicap's around 2. Just gone up from, 0. Played off of 0 or +1 for a long time. And your first question, we got this Lab DF3 in the bag. This one has been really good to me since we put it in the bag a while back. Mario wants to know, is Happy Gilmore there? Dylan says, thanks for the tip yesterday. I put a head cover under right arm. It made swing feel more solid at top of backswing. Amazing. That's great, Dylan. I'm glad that you came back to share your feedback with me. Is that a P790? Nope, it's a Tacoma 301 CB. Owen wants to know, I keep getting Healy shots, feel like I'm plenty far away from the ball. Kupiski said, noob. Got me, bro. Okay, so the heel strike question, Owen, what I would have you do is try to hit 10 balls in a row with that club, whether it's driver or whatever club you're struggling with, and your strikes are all on the heel, right? Try to hit 10 in a row out of the toe. Try to move your strike pattern this way, right? Just practice hitting the different parts of the face, right? And what you'll find is if your strike is on the heel, and you tell yourself, okay, I'm going to try to hit it on the toe now, you'll find a lot of them end up actually in the center. So just practice moving that strike pattern around the face, and it will make it that much easier to get it back to the center when you need to. Right? If you can build that skill, if I told you, on command, you could hit the heel, you could hit the toe, right? Well, then if you could do that, you could also hit the center, right? That was crispy. Crispy, crunchy. That's what we like to see. Tips to stop hip sway in the backswing. Good question, Tate. So what I would have you do is try to exaggerate almost the opposite, right? So if you watch yourself on camera and on video and you see your swing, you're really like swaying this way, back and forth as you swing, try to feel the opposite, right? You're going to have to feel almost like your hips are moving forward in the backswing to keep them in place, right? If you're used to, really swaying off the ball, right? And you can just make some practice swings, some, dry fire. You don't have to even hit balls, but just practice watching yourself on camera saying, okay, I'm going to make a backswing and not sway, right? Not get, my weight really out here. You want it to kind of stay on this instep, even all the way to the top of the backswing. If your weight gets on the outside of this foot, you're going to have a tough time, right? But stay nice and level. You don't want, you need some hip sway, right? Every good player has some, Scotty, Tiger, all these guys, right? But if it's excessive, then you need to exaggerate the opposite. And that's true of anything, right? If you're feeling, really over the top, then I would tell you, exaggerate the kind of the opposite, right? The inside figure eight. So that's going to be the answer to most of these questions, right? Is just, find a feel or a way to exaggerate what you need to do. We know that, feel and real are different things, especially in the golf swing. I love doing these little half swings just to get a great sense for finding the center of the face working on my technique. Feeling that sequencing, you know, giving it time at the top of the backswing. Right, we don't need to rush and throw the club from here. It's more of a, you know, release. The release will feel almost after the ball. Nice. Just looking to practice that really crunchy, consistent ball first contact. Best tip for wedge game. Yeah, my best tip is, you know, make it shorter and smaller. Right? So instead of trying to, you know, make big full swings with wedges, let's say instead of, you know, if your best, you know, your perfect sand wedge, your 56 degree goes 100 yards and you find yourself you're at 100 yards on the golf course. Well, I would say most of the time you're going to be better off by, you know, taking one more club, maybe a gap wedge, a 52 degree, and making a 3/4 swing where you can really, you know, control the face, make sure you're hitting it nice and straight at your target. Remember, wedges are about accuracy and precision, not about how far you can hit it, right? I'd rather hit a pitching wedge to 10 feet than a sand wedge to 25 feet, right? Our goal is to get the ball close to the hole. So practice some of those, you know, take an extra club and take some speed off. That can really help your wedges. Daniel, does making sure your back is pointed the whole way to the target help as well to not slice it? Some 20 handicapper told me this. I'm hitting my driver at 101. How far should the carry be? Yeah, so smash factor at the most is usually 1.5. So that would get you, you know, call it 150 miles an hour ball speed. And you could Google a chart and say, you know, or ask ChatGPT, right? If my ball speed is 150 and my spin is 2200 and my launch is 14 degrees, how much carry should I expect? I would guess it's going to be in the, you know, 260, 250 yards. So having your back, the back pointed towards the target, you know, thing, that's a way to help people feel like they're not going like this, right? You don't want to over rotate the shoulders, you know, from the top of the swing. Right, so feeling like the back stays here while the arms drop can be helpful. Hello, Miss Lady. Did you come to help? You gonna help us practice? Hey, you. Hey, you. Hi. Are you a superstar? Yeah. You helping? You helping? So just, you know, keep that in mind when you are, you know, practicing. A great drill, you know, you've seen Bryson do this drill. Hey, buddy, come on out of there. Out. Good job. Right, well, Bryson will, you know, practice getting to the top of the swing, dropping the hands to the hip, and then practicing hitting balls. So that's a really good way if you do notice that you're getting over the top and steep, right, and the shoulders are spinning from the top. That drill can be really good to just feel the hands drop from the top of the backswing. With all my clubs besides putter, obviously I'm slicing all the time. Any tips? Yeah, so Blaney, great question. If you are slicing it a whole bunch, right, you got to get that club face more closed, more pointed to the left. And next time you're at the range practicing, what I would tell you is, you know, imagine that the whole right side is lava. You're not allowed to hit it over there. You know, any club, driver, irons, right? Practice hitting some big hooks. You got to get the face closed, see the ball turning right to left, right? So imagine you're trying to hit it to center field, you know, or set up like you're going to hit the center field, but then you're actually going to hit it down the left field line, right? Or, you know, set up like you're going to hit the center of the fairway, and then force yourself to hit it in the left trees. Like, just get the ball going over there. Learn how to close the club face, how to see the ball go right to left, right? And then you're on your way. You've started building your skills, you know, of controlling the club face and the club path, right? Because, you know, I could just give you a drill and you would stop slicing it for a while, but what I want you to do is have the ability, the technique to say, okay, I know within the confines of my own swing, my own athletic ability, how I can get that ball going over there, right to left, you know, turning the club face. You might need to adjust your grip and strengthen it. You might have to, you know, let the club face stay a little more shut in the takeaway, right? But whatever you need to do, get that ball going over there, right to left. And then once you've done that, you can start to dial it in and, you know, hit draws and fades or hit the ball straight. That was nice and straight. I can tell you that for at least the 8 feet between here and the net, it was very straight. So we've got these 6 irons going, guys. Working on our ball striking. Working on our balance and hitting the center of that club face. Answering your questions too, which is great. Liam's here. Hey, Liam. I appreciate your tips. I'm about a 10 handicap, always looking for more knowledge. Awesome, Brants. Thanks for being here. Hit that subscribe button. How do I get consistent loft with my irons? I just started playing, not really sure how to hit the ground after the ball. Great question, Rand. This is very common for beginners, right? It can be a bit counterintuitive because you want to hit the ball first and then the ground, right? You watch on TV, you see these guys make these big divots. That divot's always after the ball is gone, right? The ball is flying through the air, then that divot comes out flying, right? And what I would tell you, grab a club like an 8 iron, maybe a 9 iron, you know, kind of a short club, pitching wedge even, right? And just work on some little half swings. I want you to hit, you know, the next time you go to the range, hit half your shots like this, right? Just grab a wedge. You're trying to hit it maybe 30 yards, 40 yards in the air. You're not trying to make a big full swing, right? You just want to learn how to hit the ball first and then the turf, right? Practice at a slow speed with a little swing. How do I get this club onto the ball to send that ball towards my target, up in the air, right, where I hit the ball first and then the ground? And just build your technique at a really slow speed with a small swing. It's going to help you a lot more than, you know, getting on the range and hitting a whole bunch of big full swings and, you know, just wondering what, you know, why you're not having more success. Make it smaller, make it slower. And I do this drill a whole bunch even. You know, I've been a scratch golfer for a long time, although I suppose I'm not anymore, not this year, which is funny. It's like, am I still a scratch golfer? I don't know. Not right now. Sometimes. But again, you really need to build that technique, build your skill in delivering that club onto the ball. I had somebody in here not too long ago saying, you know, it's very similar to like how you learn how to play guitar, right? You wouldn't do it while you're playing a song at full speed, like, you know, you gotta learn how to do the movements at slow speed. Hey, LR Darts is here. Worst round of my life yesterday made me want to quit golf. Nothing was going well, but we go again. That's exactly right. I love that attitude. Because, guys, you know, like any day, most of them are going to, you know, think about a bell curve, right? Most of them are going to be pretty average, right in the middle. Some days are going to be, you know, your very best day. Those days are great. You're also going to have some of your very worst day, right? You have to have the 1 out of 10 day to get to the 10 out of 10 day, you know? And that's what's crazy about golf is you just don't know where in that bell curve your performance is going to be. And as we improve and get better, you're just trying to slide that bell curve, right, towards better scores. But just like great players have their worst day, so, you know, so do 10 handicaps, so do 20 handicaps. And understanding that, you know, we're operating somewhere on that bell curve at all times is important and can help manage your expectations. Dylan, the low point of my swing sucks. I've done the towel drill a bunch. Still can't get any loft on the ball, and I chunk it all the time. All right, Dylan. Well, the towel drill is really about, you know, connection and making sure your arms and everything are moving together. But to practice that low point, I would go back to what I was just saying to Rand. You know, work on some really slow, small swings. Hopefully you can hit off of grass, and if you can practice hitting the ball first and then the turf. And what I found in controlling low point is that, you know, understanding how your weight shift impacts low point makes a big difference, right? Because if I make this backswing and my weight stays back here, I'm going to hit way behind it, right? If I make a backswing with no weight shift, I can definitely get back to the ball, right? But I might kind of scoop it or hit it low on the face. All right? If I make a backswing and I get my weight forward in transition, well, now I'm really in business. Look at this. I can really, boom, deliver a powerful strike on the back of that ball because I've transitioned my weight forward. That low point's going to move forward with me. That allows me to, deliver that powerful descending compressed strike on the ball. And again, you can practice this away from the golf swing. So just work on the movement of backswing, weight shift. Backswing, weight shift. Right? You're trying to get that weight, from like the toe into that heel. Right? So backswing, weight shift. And just practice that move. Just how do I shift my weight? And that will really help. So do that. Work on some small chippy ones where you really practice hitting the ball first and then the turf. Make your divot after the ball. And if you're already doing the towel drill, then you're in business there. And that should really help, right? Maintain that connection. Get the weight shifting the way you need it to, and you should be off to the races. Hey, Paul's here. What's up, Paul? Liam's in here. Thanks for the tip. You're welcome. Steven says, when I'm hitting my irons, I tend to hit it straight left. Is that because my club face is closed? How can I fix this for a straight ball flight? Great question, Steven. So I would tell you, most of the time, if you're hitting just a pull, right, that tells you that the ball's not curving, right? If it's not, going left and curving left or curving back to the right, that means that the face is pretty square to the path, right? Which is great. You want the face to be square, but your path might be, over the top or across the ball to the left, right? Such that it's launching left of target and just staying there, right? It's not fading back. It's not drawing more, right? So a couple options. You can work on shifting the path back to the right, instead of across this way, get the path more down the, more neutral and just hit the ball straight. Or you could keep that left path and open the face some and hit fades or cuts, right? Because if that face is open relative, in between the target line and the path, you'll hit a fade. So really two ways to go about it. But that's, helpful to understand what's happening to cause that ball flight. Luke is here. Why can't I hit my long irons? I'm a 6 handicap and it's holding me back. Well, Luke, I would tell you, do you have enough club head speed to really launch those long irons up in the air? If you do, are you hitting the center of the club face consistently? If not, you need to do that. My honest answer is look into some hybrids or long, woods, right? I have a 7 wood and a 5 hybrid in my bag. And, I play pretty good golf. I don't need to worry about hitting 4 irons, 3 irons. I just grab a hybrid, off to the races. Aiden, I was wondering if it's worth it to shorten my 4 hybrid, which I hit 200, 205 for more control and consistency. I don't think so. I don't think you need to go around playing, unless you have a huge gap in your bag. Say your longest iron goes 180 and then your hybrid goes 220. Then you might want to cut it down and, or find a different one to go fit that gap better. But it's really all about gap management when we're talking about our bag. Rand says, wow, I can see how it comes down onto the ball now. That's amazing. Paul said, happy Labor Day. Thanks, Paul. I appreciate you indulging in our American holidays. Tell you what, Paul, we were caddy dragging all over the course today. 4 birdies, 5 bogeys for 73 with a couple 3 putts. So, the ball striking was super, super solid. Burned a bunch of edges, had some 10 to 15 footers for birdie that truly just like sizzled over the edge. So hit a bunch of good putts. A couple 3 putts, on lag putts that weren't my best, but that's going to happen. So after not playing golf for about 5 weeks, to show up and put together a solid round was really, really fun. Make a bunch of birdies. No doubles. No doubles is like my mantra. I'm very anti-making doubles. What iron are you using right now? This is a pitching wedge. We're still swinging. What's your carry? With what club? Driver, 3 hybrid, 4 iron, all the long clubs one needs. That works, Miko. Yo, how do you stand to hit good shots with iron? So I stand, a good rule of thumb, guys, is use your hand, stick it on the end of the club, stick your base of your hand in your belly button. That's how far away you want to stand, right? Should also be, you know, about where, if you get in your golf posture, which is, you know, your knees are pretty straight, a little bit of knee flex to hold your weight, but you're bending from the waist, wherever your arms hang pretty naturally, right? They're not way out in front of me here. They're not in close to my body, but I just bend over wherever my arms hang. That's where I want the club to be, right? So give that a try. A couple different ways you can think about, you know, how close you want to be to the ball. Patience, bro. Everything takes time. That's exactly right, Paul. How to hit it higher. To hit it higher, you need more loft, more dynamic loft and impact. You want to hit 9 iron? We can hit 9 iron. So driver carry, to answer your question, the highest, you know, the best I've seen so far this year is in like the high 290s, around 300. That's ball speed around 172. You know, on the golf course, I probably live more in the mid 160s. You know, if I was on the golf course and you told me I had to carry a bunker, I'd probably say like 270, 275 would be where I would feel comfortable, feeling, you know, like I could hit a good one. John Daly is the best. I agree. John Daly's awesome. I mean, maybe not a good role model, but really fun golfer, good personality. Can you give me tips to stop a slice? Yeah, so you got to practice getting it going right to left. So if you're slicing it, set up like you're going to hit it straight, and then force yourself to hit it, you know, practice hitting it like in the left trees, right? Learn how to close that club face. Keep that club head nice and, you know, wide in the takeaway, so the club can shallow this way. If you slice a lot of times, you know, with, you know, beginners, the club head gets inside this way and then over the top like that. Very common reason you'd see a slice. So practice hitting some big hooks. Learn how to control that club face. That was a slight toe strike, maybe 5 millimeters toe side. That's my guess. Don't have TrackMan out here yet, so. Yeah, some of the best iron shots I've hit all season were in today's round. So really encouraging for, you know, all this work, all this practice we've been doing out here. All you guys, you know, showing up to support me while we're practicing out here on the stream. So really thankful for all you guys. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Where did you play today? I played at Vesper Country Club. Hey, Andrew Rickers here. Gunnar, I think I answered your question. Scottish invented golf. Yeah, they definitely did. I love Scotland, one of my favorite places. Some days I hit it very straight, and some a little overdraw, need a fix. So those days, Aiden, where you're overdrawing it, I would tell yourself just, you know, give yourself the intention or the feel of hitting a fade, right? If you're saying, well, most days I hit it pretty straight, some days I start hooking it. Well, on those days, right, nothing says you can't, you know, still hit a draw while you're intending to hit a fade, right? So you could still aim at the right edge of the green and say, okay, I'm gonna feel a fade. I'm gonna, you know, maybe take it a little more outside and hold it off, right? Because all you're trying to do is get yourself to delivering a slightly more open, a less closed club face, right? So you might still ultimately end up hitting a draw, but try to feel a fade, right? Give yourself that intention and just practice on those days. You know, number one, it's good that you're recognizing it, saying, you know, in my swing, you know, the path and the face relationship changes day to day. That's very normal. All of us deal with that. But, you know, try to identify some fixes, some ways that you can, on the golf course in real time, say, okay, you know, the face is really getting shut on me. I'm seeing the ball hook a lot. I got to practice feeling like I'm hitting some fades today. And that should help you, you know, see the ball straighten out. How do I fix overextending my arms with my driver? Tell me more, Colin, what you mean by that. Like overswinging, like the swing gets too long? Handicap, putter, usually putter. Can you hit your driver? Can you hit your drivers higher? Yeah, so to hit the driver higher, I would tee it up a little more, right? Really make sure that you're, you know, set up to launch that ball up into the air. You know, so you want that left hip, left shoulder higher. at setup, right? To really try to launch that ball up into the air. You don't want to be going, too far on top of it like this with an iron. That's not going to translate to the driver very well. Felmax, stop sniffling. I know. I know. I still am fighting this this flu that will not leave me. Thoughts on having a slightly cupped wrist but hitting good shots? So I would tell you, Aiden, you can find examples of golfers with all kinds of different positions, bowed, cupped, straight. All that matters is impact, right? You can watch Jim Furyk swing, Matt Wolff swing up like this and inside. You can watch John Rahm swing it, short and inside, with a really bowed wrist, right? All kinds of different ways to have your swing look, different shapes, tempos. What does matter is impact. If the golf ball is flying straight and it's going, the distance you want it to at your target, don't worry about anything else, right? The golf ball and impact is what matters the most. Here, we'll do this really quick. Hopefully that'll be better for a minute. Is there a reason to get more flat? Not unless your swing is overly steep, I would say. What's my handicap? Usually around 0, but it's gone up to about 2, playing off of 2 recently. Do you always create trajectory on the golf course with your driver, or sometimes you tell yourself to hit a straight one? Great question, Tahiri. I usually actually try to play it pretty straight. So I'll pick a target, the center of my shot pattern, you could call it, right? And I'll say that's my target. And I know that with a driver, it might be 60, 70 yards wide sometimes, that dispersion. Some of them are going to fade a little bit. Some of them are going to draw. I tend to hit the ball pretty straight, so I'm just picking a straight target and hitting it at that target. And I just accept that some of those are going to fade, some of them are going to draw a little. If I had to pick, or you said, hey, you really have to hit this fairway, I would try to feel a very small fade, right? A slight pull fade. That's a shot that I know I can, on command, come out and hit that shot. So that's how I think about driver. Grip down so you don't hit the roof, bud. That's a good idea with driver. I could practice something like that. How do I not top the ball? Good question, Jetpack. So you got to move that low point further back, right? If your low point is too far forward, you're going to hit the top of the ball, right? We do need the low point in front of the ball, but not to that extent, right? So I would tell you to practice, just slow the swing down, right? Hit some little chippy ones, and just teach yourself, like, okay, I need to not, really get going so far this way, but maybe stay a little more balanced and centered as I turn and hit the ball. And, you'll find that making the swing smaller really cures a lot of those things. It's going to be harder to top it, harder to really make those exaggerated movements that are going to cause you problems, and just practice at that slower speed. Pitching wedge stock 140, good. Yeah, that's great. 7-iron 175 is amazing. Any drills for practicing downswing? I want to start dropping my elbow more. Yeah, Sammy. So if you're working on, it sounds like you're trying to keep the arms in front of you. The drill that I would go to is the Rory split grip drill, right? So, split your grip, and then from the top of the backswing, you're just going to practice bringing the club down, and you'll notice this is going to bring that elbow, tuck that right elbow in, and it's going to force you to really feel, that right side compression, right? We're squeezing this side of the body to turn and rotate through the shot, right? So try that split grip where it really forces the arms to stay in front of the body, right? You don't want to get stuck back here and then you're flipping it, all kinds of bad stuff happens. So give that one a try. I was wondering if you can help with my driver. I can't hit it as far and I don't know what to do. Yeah, Kraken. So a couple options if you want to hit it further. You can increase your club head speed, right? So, speed training, lift weights in the gym, make the engine bigger, learn how to, generate more speed. Or you can, with the existing speed you do have, you can optimize the launch conditions, right? So, hitting the center of the club face, launching the ball up in the air at about, 14 to 18 degrees, and keeping that spin down to somewhere in the low 2000s. That's how you'll optimize the distance or the carry that you can get out of your current speed. Show me a swing. I want to see your swing. Yeah, we have been answering lots of questions and not hitting as many balls as as usual, so let's hit some. Pretty solid strike there. I've got a 9-iron here, guys, if that helps. We are going to be wrapping up the stream pretty soon here. We'll hit the rest of these balls, answer a few more questions. Trying not to overdo it as I continue recovering from being under the weather. Caddy dragging my life away. By that I mean, you know, starting the swing with the handle, right? The grip, you know, kind of floats back and then just allows everything to sequence really nicely. Really good strikes there, guys. It was a little over the top. Came out of the heel slightly, but how can I stop hooking my driver? You got to get the face more open. How do you hit down and aim compression on the balls for short irons different from long irons? Nope, no, not any different, Edward. How do I think about sequencing? Yeah, so what I would have you do for sequencing is do some lead arm only swings, right? So grab the club with just your lead arm. If you're right-handed, that's your left arm, right? And just make some swings with the step involved, right? So hold the club out in front of you, feet together. Club's going to swing back as you step forward. And this is really going to help your body, you know, feel the sequence, right? How it wants to move. You'll notice that the hips go first, right? The hips are rotating out of the way first, then the club and the arms come through. And just make a bunch of swings with just that lead arm. And you'll find that really does a good job of helping your body understand the sequence. You know, if you fight early extension, that's something I've dealt with for a long time. Those lead arm only swings will really help, right? It's really hard, you know, it would be strange for your body to early extend when you do just the lead arm only, right? Because it's usually a reaction to, you know, that extra right hand force on the club. A lot of us are right-handed, right? And we try to get to the top and we just boom, swing. And all that does is throw the club out. Then you have to go like this and extend just to get to the ball. So really work on those lead arm only swings. Thank you guys again for all the support on the channel recently. We've had some crazy numbers on the recent videos. Tons of new subscribers. So really, you know, grateful and appreciative to all you guys for hitting that subscribe button for me. Kraken's playing 18 tomorrow. That's awesome. Try this, bud. Drag it back along the floor firmly until it lifts off yourself. You'll see. Yeah, it's been working, Paul. I'll tell you that. Can a 1 degree flat lie angle cause me to thin more than usual? No, I think that's maybe just, you know, an adjustment period, right? If you're thinning it, I imagine that's more about, you know, the low point and your ground contact, right? The flatness is just going to, you know, change how the club sits statically. Trying to really keep that club along the ground. Crunchy. Nice and crunchy. That is exactly what we're looking for. 66 minutes. Hey, Nate's here. What's up, Nate? Are you 1 degree upright? No, these are standard. These are standard loft and lie, as far as I know. Should probably get them checked because I have hit a whole bunch of balls. Joe says, I feel like I have pretty good swing, but no matter what I do, keep going over the top, even when dropping my hands. Any tips? Yeah, Joe. So for me, understanding that a lot of that steepness, I did the same thing for a long time, and, you try to manually combat it, right? Get the arms moving in a different direction. The thing that really clicked for me that I'll share with you is a lot of that over the top, steepness is caused by just rushing from the top, right? So you have to practice giving yourself time. The club needs time and space to kind of fall and change direction, right? It will be almost imperceptible at full speed, but for me, I had to really feel like there was almost a pause at the top, right? To let that club just start to fall with gravity. And no matter what you do, right? If you start from the top and you start pushing on the handle with the right hand, right? The club's just going to steepen. You're sending it out this way. That's just what's going to happen, right? So I made a bunch of lead arm swings. I did a bunch of freezer drills, right? Where I practiced just pausing at the top and then swinging down. But just understand that, you've got to give the club time and space to fall and start to shallow. Right? So in real time, like if I look back on video, it's pretty imperceptible. Like you won't even notice. But to me, it feels like that club is really just stopping and setting for a brief moment before we let it fall down and onto the ball. It was old Tom Morris that told me that. Amazing. That's a really good point. Great question. Colin, so I was saying about overextending my arms on my drivers. I feel like I have to be insanely far away in order to not hit my tee shots off the heel. Was wondering if there was a drill for it. Oh, okay, so it's set up, right? So if you're really, you don't want the arms like really, far out and away from you like this. You want to just kind of a natural, relaxed, right? Wherever the arms hang naturally is about where you want to be at setup, right? If you're really out extending like this, you're going to have a tough time. I like to grab, use your hand as a guide and stick it on the end of the club, stick that in your belly button. And that's a pretty good idea of how far away from the ball you'd want to be standing. So hopefully that helps, Colin. I think I understand your question now, right? Because if you are really, the arms are super extended, you're going to have a tough time generating speed and letting the club work the way it needs to. Excuse me. All right, guys, that is all the time we have for today. But if you haven't already, hit that like button for me. Drop a subscribe to the channel. Let me see really quick. Grant said, asked about Rapsodo a few weeks ago. Ended up getting one. Really works great. Good video of swing and contact. Well, that's great to hear, Grant. I'm really excited to someday, get a launch monitor out here. It's not in my budget at the moment. But if you guys keep subscribing, keep blowing up the channel, maybe it will be. We can save up some of our money for a launch monitor out here. Or even better, I'd love to find a partner, Rapsodo or Garmin. I've heard the Garmin R10 can be really good for these net kind of setups. I don't know what the perfect answer is, but I would love to find a partner to, partner with us on the live streams, to have a launch monitor out here, to get some data, to be able to show, where the ball's flying. That could be really, really cool. Just not in my budget at the moment. But if you know anybody at Garmin or Rapsodo and you want to send them the stream to check out. My buddy has a Rapsodo. Love going to his house and playing. Hey, Tapas is here. What's up, Tapas, for breakfast? Appreciate you being here. I know we're about to wrap up, but I think the Rapsodo is worth the extra money. Yeah, I've got to find a way to get it in my budget. But like I said, ideally, I want to find a partner, somebody who I can work with to say, hey, we're going to be doing this regularly. You have a product that could work really great for a space like this to demonstrate how it works. And I think that could be pretty compelling to, continue enhancing the quality of the live streams. You guys get, something additional with data and, different clubs. So that is exciting to hear. I'm glad that, it seems like Rapsodo is maybe the front runner in the clubhouse. So like I said, guys, hit that like button, hit the subscribe for me, and hit up Rapsodo. Tell them, hey, go check out John. Go check out these live streams. Get him a Rapsodo in there and start really taking this thing to the next level. So I'm gonna keep showing up for you guys. You guys keep showing up for me. Really appreciate all the support in the channel, guys. Like the videos, like the shorts. Hit that subscribe button. We will see you next time.